Geekscapists, welcome to a brand new Geekscape. I'm Jonathan London, your host, and we're going to talk some pop culture. We've got a pretty packed week. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 came out, as well as Michael Bay's Ambulance. I didn't see it. We won't be talking about Ambulance. What are you going to say about Ambulance that the reviews are saying? I think there was a review that literally said, critics never like Michael Bay movies, but they like this one. And that was, I'm paraphrasing. That was kind of the gist of the review for Ambulance. So kind of a ringing endorsement. I went to the Ren Fair for Heidi's birthday, so we got a little bit nerdy and medieval there. What else is going on? Oh yeah, Katie is kind of like, hey, what's going on in Moon Knight? Like, it's good. I enjoy it. I don't know what's going on. So Christian Bladt and I of the Bladt cast and the brand new Geekscape Book Club are here to talk a little bit of comics. We'll be talking some comics. So basically, let's go down the list. We got movies. We got video games, we got comics, we got TV, we got all those things. So it sounds like a classic Geekscape. Hello, Geekscapists. How are you doing? We've been a little busy here at Geekscape HQ. We had a 3-hour live stream. That was a lot of fun on Friday, and I hope you checked it out. If you're watching this on the YouTube, on the Twitch, on the Facebook, search the feed and look for that 3-hour live stream. It was me guesting on One Hit Thunder. We had a lot of fun there, and then we have a brand new show, The Weird Algorithms. It's all about Weird Al. And it's hosted by Matt Kelly and another Matt of Wheatus. You all remember Wheatus? They had that Teenage Dirtbag song. Well, Matt from Wheatus now has a show on our network with Matt Kelly talking all about Weird Al. You got to subscribe to it. You just have to. It's going to be, I mean, if you're a Weird Al fan, you got to do it. And then the 3-hour live stream wrapped up with a mini episode of Horror Movie Night. So it was pretty awesome. I really like these live streams because to me they not only are charity, but they're a way for the rapidly growing Geekscape network to do like an anniversary episode or do a live stream where and I've actually made this an edict. I told Matt Kelly, I said, hey, if we're going to do these live streams and we're going to have all these shows at once, like one after another, from the Geekscape network, I think there should be a rule. I think people from the other shows should guest on the other shows, and it should be like a comic book crossover, so that maybe if you're checking out One Hit Thunder, you discover one of the other shows. Maybe if you're listening to the guys from $2 Late Fee, you get Christian Bladt from the new Geekscape Book Club. If you're checking out Femme Regard, maybe you get somebody from Horror Movie Night, and that way, like, we kind of meet each other here, because I had to make a spreadsheet. That's how far gone it is with me. Today I sat down, I'm only a few years late on this, and made a spreadsheet. It was a Google Sheets thing, and it was like, I just have to keep track of this stuff. Like, how many shows do we have on the Geekscape network? I like promoting them. I like talking about them here on the flagship show. I think they're all pretty valuable. Matt's doing a great job of wrangling them, but I have to know, who's still on those shows. Like, I barely know them. They're growing so fast, and I don't think we're slowing down anytime soon. The numbers are really good. I'm really happy with where Geekscape is, not just the show, but the network. And I want to thank y'all. The average podcast listener listens to 3 or 4 podcasts a week. The fact that you're hearing my voice on whatever podcatcher, whatever podcatcher you choose, really means a lot to me that y'all choose Geekscape as one of your podcasts for the week. So thank you. Speaking of the brand new podcast that we got, we've made some additions during the pandemic. The first one was my co-host. Yep. You can see how things start to devolve when Jonathan talks too long. So let's get Katie in here.
I was wondering if you remembered how to do StreamYard.
No, I had all these words, and there started to be too many of them.
Oh, I thought it was literally
like,
you just trying to click around and find.
No, I was like, pull the plug, Jonathan. You need somebody to help you with the word salad that's coming out of your mouth. So here's my little caterpillar in the salad, Katie, whose name is changing.
Yep, gonna be Hampton. Gonna be a much more pronounceable last name. I'm still gonna keep the all sassy pants, but I'm going for Hampton. I finally changed my professional name, so casting directors can remember that a little bit more easily.
We had a little bit of a Geekscape crossover yesterday for Heidi's birthday. We all went to Benihana, as featured in the new movie Everywhere All at Once. There's a Benihana type scene in that movie, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
you should see it. But Katie and Mark came to join Heidi and I, along
lovely.
with America Young and Dove Meir of the Undiscovered Scripts podcast that we have here on the Geekscape Network. So everybody at the table, don't tell Heidi that it was not just her birthday. It was kind of an informal Geekscape hangout.
I was like, are you making this a networking event? Yeah. By the way, they were both lovely, and their daughter was adorable.
Pretty awesome. So yeah, a little bit of a Geekscape meetup. Don't tell Heidi it was a wonderful birthday. It started like before the weekend, and it went through the whole weekend. But just don't tell her. I did
party. It's a big
I worked
party
the
weekend.
Geekscape meetup into it. So there it is. Speaking of Geekscape meetups, Katie, we have this new show. I was on the first episode. I don't know if it's out yet, but you should look for it. Subscribe to it, the Geekscape Book Club, and it's got our good friend Christian on it. Christian also has you can hear him on the Bladt cast. You can hear him on the Marvel Movie Talk, where they talk about Marvel and movies, and usually the movies that have Marvel in them. Here's Christian right now. He's on the show.
Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be back on the Geekscape podcast. People might not remember this.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you should ask, because I'm a testament to I thought I had a pretty good appearance, and it was so good that 246 episodes later, you're like, oh, come on back on.
That's why you were asking about the number.
I was on episode 382, and thought it went well. There was a studio in Hollywood, and there were a few people. One of whom my pal Will Sterling, and
I like Will. People. Well, Will stayed.
Yeah,
I don't know if Christian came back, but
I would have come back.
I know, Christian. Listen, I cycle people in. You're a mainstay now. I'm so really sorry.
No. It
wasn't me.
I just thought it was funny.
It was you, and I just felt like I'm kidding.
Wow, we're really getting the real now.
You got this. I know. I love Christian, and we've been friends since. But the opportunity here's the truth. Okay, Geekscape, here's the real truth, and I'll give it to you without any lies. He's a better host than me. So why the hell would I want this professional who then went on to do the Blattcast, Marvel Movie Talk, and all these other shows in which he's a great host. And you can tell when you listen to this Geekscape Book Club, he's a professional. Mm-hmm. What does he have? Why would I have him on?
What does he have? Coherent thoughts? I don't know.
Why would I have that guy? Why? It's like
he's also reading books.
Well, comic books.
Well,
comic books.
The comic books, Katie.
Yeah,
we'll have you on there.
In fact, it's still down here from our premiere episode.
Nice.
We did do Batman Year One.
By the way, I just got this in the mail.
Oh, nice. As we're talking on Monday, by the way, the video is up. The audio will be up later this week. There was a little mix up with between Matt and I, and I'm taking credit, even though Matt tried to take credit. I'll be like, no, it's my fault. So the audio will be up soon, but we're doing that show once a month. And our next one will be May 1st, and we're doing Doctor Strange Way of the Weird, which is a Josh Aaron story I've never read. So that's the whole concept.
Jason Aaron.
Yep. I said Josh Aaron because that's a guy I know.
Yeah. That is a very weird Doctor Strange run. And I had somebody ask me, they said, okay, how does this Geekscape Book Club work? Do we participate in the show? And this is what I had to say. I said, well, we've already done Batman Year One. And you can read the book and you can hear what we had to say about it. But if you want to get in on it, you just in time for Doctor Strange to hit theaters, you go and get this Doctor Strange Jason Aaron book and you read it. And then as we go live right here on the Geekscape Network, on the YouTube or the Facebook, and when we go live, you can be part of the chat and you can talk to us. Who knows who Christian will have as guests, but it was a great conversation. And very well hosted and organized, cohesive thoughts, through lines. Oh my God, it was awesome. And absolutely stay away from
I had the rare foresight to put the brakes on what would have been a really fun conversation, but we were about to go down a rabbit hole for 20 minutes, which on my regular podcast, the Blackcats, we do all the time. And I was like, well, this is the book club. I'm trying to keep it to an hour. So let's go ahead and it was like, it was a string I really wanted to pull on, but I'm like,
what was the string?
I actually can't remember now because I had to push it. Yeah, I know. I can't like save it for the next show, but yeah, we had a great time. And then the idea is that it's a book we haven't read. So 3 of us had not read Year One, but Jonathan, of course, had read it. So yeah, people who have read it are welcome, but we want sort of our regulars to be reading stuff for the first time. And as a once a month show, it's not hard to do that. I think if we were doing it more often, we would probably run out of like great runs that we've never read. So
that Jason and Aaron, Chris Bacharlo is the artist. I think I butchered his name. He was our neighbor at LA Comic-Con. We had a booth at LA Comic-Con, and he had the booth right next to ours. And I love, and I'm frustrated sometimes with his artwork because it's so expressive. And sometimes I'm like, holy crap, that is so stylistic. When I turn the page, I don't know what's happening. Like, is that the dude's foot? Like, it's insane. He's got so much going on in each page, but you can't pass up his artwork because there's nobody else like him. So
no, I mean, I know him mostly from Generation X, and I think that to me was that was such a big. It had its own unique style, which in a time where everybody was starting to draw very similarly, it was nice to have somebody who's like, no, this is what I do. So,
just nuts. And we talked. I think he lives in Puerto Vallarta. And we talked about that. We talked about Mexico and this and that. Nice. Let's see. Garrett Briones is up in the chat. Speaking of Geekscape podcasters, he says, ask London how much he prefers Year One to the Batman. No, it's great. I think Year One is a perfect story, and it's very well balanced. And with them, we have the Batman, which is it's a movie.
It's a movie.
Movie. And the movie is...
You can read this in less than 3 hours.
You can go get more story, and it's less than 3 hours. You know what? The Batman is for some people, and that's awesome.
And for other people, it's Batman 66.
Yeah, I described it
as Batman Beyond.
Our good buddy Guy is down in Brazil finishing up another movie, and we hadn't talked. We share Instagram messages for the most part, and he said, did you not like it? And I said, Batman's character arc in the Batman is by the end of the movie, he goes, oh. And he realizes like he can do better. Like I was like, all right. It took him 3 hours to be like, oh shit. Okay. And then like in the next movie, he's gonna like
was Martha or?
Yeah, no, it was like that. It was like, he fucks up a lot, and then by the end he goes, oh, I've been doing this wrong. Okay, well, next movie, please.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, I do look forward to the Batman 2. I do. Because you know what? Not all sequels are bad. And I used to live in a world, and you did too, where video game movies were bad, and Hollywood couldn't make a video game movie to save their life. And then what saved us? Uncharted. No, what saved us? Sonic the Hedgehog.
Very much
no, it was Assassin's Creed.
No,
you had this
You're
movie.
ruining this.
And this was very important to me for this movie to be good, and it didn't start out well. You had the were hedgehog and the furry hedgehog with the human face, creepy hedgehog, and the fans went nuts. Remember when they leaked the Sonic and the fans went nuts, and they were like, that is creepy as hell. Just make Sonic like the cartoon but furry. And then they fixed Sonic. They released the Sonic movie, and it was like one of the movies I saw right before the pandemic hit in theaters, and I loved it. And then here we are, slowly crawling out of the pandemic, and I go back to the theater to watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I hope it's good. It's got Idris Elba as Knuckles. It's got Tails in it. Jim Carrey's back. It's got all the pieces to be right. James Marsden again. Movie's great. Movie's awesome. Movie's so much fun. Movie's under 3 hours. And Christian then had to immediately go to McDonald's and get himself a Tails McDonald's toy. For if you're watching this on video, you can see him holding that up to the mic. Loved it. Good. I think the things that I'll say about it real quick before Christian throws in is the story's fun and it's sound and it's better than it has any right to be, because clearly these movies are in the style of like a Chipmunks Squeakquel type of thing where it's like a live action animated mix, and it's clearly for kids. But they throw in so many jokes for adults, and there is a Daily the Earth Stood Still / Army of Darkness shout out within the first 3 minutes that is just amazing. My eyes bugged out because no kid's gonna get that, but I loved it. And then the movie very effortlessly and it just cleanly starts integrating pieces from levels, pieces from the story of the original Sega Genesis games, and you start to recognize things from like the ruins level or underwater level, and then you start to realize that all these other different levels that you see in the games are starting to get interpreted into the story, and again seamlessly, and it enhanced it. Everything from like Robotnik's robots to multiple just multiple level designs and locations, and I don't want to say too much more than that, but I was fucking losing my mind by the end of the movie when I realized what was going to happen. It was like, are they really doing that in the second movie? They got a whole third, probably. They can just save it. No, my God, they're going to do it now. Johnny lost his mind.
Oh man. Okay.
It was
now
fucking
I'm
cool.
even more bummed I didn't go and see it this afternoon. But
and there's a mid-credit scene, so hold on to your popcorn. Christian, do you echo similar sentiments?
Yeah, I would say pretty much. The everything you said about some of like the references. Just there was something about two species who'd been fighting since the dawn of time, and I think Sonic says just like The Rock and Vin Diesel, and just like to have jokes like that my kid wouldn't get, and and honestly, I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, so I was kind of watching it with them in mind. I think like a little bit scary for the 4-year-old only a couple times. I'm like, I feel like I could take them to this, so that right there makes it more appealing. But it was so fun and so funny, and within the first half hour, you had one, It's Tricky by Run DMC, and then Walk by Pantera. And I was like, yeah, this is my kind of kids movie, and it worked. It wasn't just like, well, this is crazy. And
it didn't pander. And
no.
That's the worry with some of this stuff, is that you're pandering,
Well, and that's I think the really genius thing, especially about the first movie, which was the last movie I saw before the pandemic hit. So that was the last time I was in a theater was seeing Sonic, the first one. And I was like, okay, you're not only going for the nostalgia effect, which is obviously like hitting my generation, but you're also like catering in a new era of fans, along with like the potential open world video game. And like, let's be real, at some point, they should really start considering doing the comic or the cartoon at some point again to get even more fans on board. But yeah, I loved how they integrated everything and like brought fresh music to the show or to the movie. And now that I'm hearing that there's Run DMC and all sorts of, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see this.
And Idris Elba's great, Katie. Like when they cast him, he's such a big star that you're like, well, they cast him as Knuckles. Is this just star casting and maybe it's not going to fit? Maybe he'll fax it in.
I'll see Idris in any shape or form.
Yeah, and then you watch it in the trailer and you're like, well,
he seems almost too dark in like the trailer.
And then he's like a bad guy, and he's working with Robotnik, and then you realize, oh, this is it. This is how they're going to integrate him. And first, he's going to be used by Robotnik, and maybe by the end of it, it's like an origin story in the same way that the last one was kind of like a growing up story for Sonic. There's kind of a growing up story for both Knuckles and Tails, coming from different places, like a good place and in a like a bad guy place, and they meet together. And they save the day. I'm just going to spoil it. They save the day.
Come on, man.
Just kidding. They die at the end. Horribly.
That's
violently.
What I'm here for. No,
but also colorfully. Like when those
the kids.
Oh, when they tore them open and those emeralds started spilling out of their guts, I was like,
it's just rings spreading.
Yeah, I don't want to I don't want to spoil
little animals bounce out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
go ahead, Christian, spoil it.
And I'm happy for James Marsden because of so many roles where he's kind of like the guy who you're supposed to feel like
the Baxter.
I mean, like Cyclops, the way that he was portrayed, it was like, but Gene really likes Wolverine, And he was like Mary Jane's boyfriend. He was like J. Jonah Jameson's son.
Yeah.
And I think that was 2. And he's always like the guy where you're like, ugh, this guy. So it's like, oh, but he gets to be like, I'm the dad and I'm a happily married man. And he's just having fun. Wears a really ugly shirt, as Sonic points out, but that's okay. He's going to Hawaii. It's fine.
I will have to just put up a fight for James Marsden on behalf of the movie Hairspray. If you haven't seen that, take a look. He's great. He's fantastic at it.
Well, Jim Pellegrino, who I went to grad school with, just jumped into the chat and he says Castlevania is the best video game adaptation so far. Sorry, Sega boy.
That is a really great show.
Yeah, it's nice. We've had the producer Adi Shankar on the show before a few times. I saw Adi right before our panel at LA Comic-Con in December, and I said you should come back on the show. So I'm going to follow up on that. But I got to say, not true, Jim. Warren Ellis fanboy, as Jim is. So there you have it.
Shots fired.
Jim, shots fired. Shots fired. I did make it about an episode into the Castlevania show.
A full episode or just
there are more. But I got to tell you, I actually with this Paramount Plus, I went crazy. I said, you know what, Jonathan? Let's settle in. Let's get the popcorn. Let's get the soda water.
The soda water.
The soda.
You're for the 20s.
And let's really like make an investment here. It's one of the biggest franchises in video games. It is. We've been waiting for this show for 15 years. It was a movie. Peter Jackson was going to do it. Neil Blomkamp was going to do it. This is going to be great. This is going to be great. I settled in for this Paramount Plus, and I watched that first episode of Halo, and I've talked about it here on the show. And it didn't do it for me. And I was like, no, Jonathan, maybe that's just a setup. Let's watch the second episode. And I was like, all right, let's go. It's going but the other direction. No. And I watched the second one. I was like, hey, okay. Whew. They got those out of the system. The third one, because there's a cliffhanger at the end of the second one. They're like, oh, they were going to find out about the Cortana. And, because now at this point, you're like, I don't know why they're starting this far early in Master Chief's story. And they don't just have the pew pew and start with the pew pew and the Master Chief that we know with the whole Cortana thing. And they just start there. They're going to the origin. I guess we're going to sit through this. Okay. This is the episode 3, where they finally are like, we're going to merge Cortana, the blue thing, the blue girl, the blue lady, the like AI that talks to Master
AI
Chief.
for my Xbox, but
right. We're gonna merge. This is the episode where all those questions you never asked are answered. Where they merge Cortana with the Master Chief, and it's gonna be dramatic. No, it's not. They merge, and it's like a buddy cop thing. And I watched it, and I have 20 minutes left in the episode, but I had tapped out. I tapped out on the Halo in third episode. I tapped out. I couldn't. I tried. I gave it a good try. I can't.
I'll try. Did you try that at all, Christian?
Well, no, I haven't, and I'm kind of glad it's still on my to-do list because now it can get pushed a little further down.
Sounds like.
And my excitement level for it was more like curiosity. But that must be a terrible feeling, Jonathan, because you were so legitimately excited for it, and then when you actually sit down to watch it, you go like, "Oh no!" I mean, at least you were home. I mean, like being excited for a movie and sitting down in that movie, and you're like,
that's unfortunate.
It's like, oh my god, Daredevil's finally on the big screen. I'm so excited. They've got a movie star. But what?
Oh, that movie was Ang Lee's Hulk. Because James Schamus wrote it, and Ang Lee's one of my favorite filmmakers, and I was like, Ang Lee, James Schamus, these guys are coming off an Oscar in like a perfect movie in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. We got Eric Bana, he's amazing. We got Jennifer Connelly. We got the perfect casting of Thunderbolt Ross with Sam Elliott. Like this movie is going to be so. What am I watching? Why am I watching this? Oh my god, there's Hulk dogs. I walked out when I came out of Hulk. That was a rough one.
You woke up from it.
Geekscape wasn't around then, but I would have been right on Geekscape, and you would have seen the nerd tears on that episode. The nerd tears of Jonathan's Ang Lee's Hulk episode would have been rough, man. You would have been able to fill I don't know, something with it, but yeah, it was a lot.
The Paramount pool.
Yeah, do y'all have?
You could have filled my soda water cup
with soda water.
Your pop. Do y'all have a movie that you were so excited to see? And let's keep it to genre geekdom. That you were like, oh my god! Like from all extensive purposes, they nailed this, and you go in and you're like, something's not right.
I
would say Superman Returns is my second.
That's a great example, because we don't have to talk about Bryan Singer when he's not being a filmmaker. I loved the first 2 X-Men movies that he did, and I felt like he destroyed 2 franchises by not doing X-Men 3, because X-Men 3 was terrible, and Brett Ratner did it, and then he went and did this Superman movie that I was like legitimately excited for, because it's like, we're going to just pretend 3 and 4 didn't happen. Think of it as a sequel to Superman 2. And I'm like, that's a great idea. And again, somebody who we just have to talk about the performance in the screen at the time, Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. And Brandon Routh didn't really do it for me, but he's not the problem in the movie, I don't think.
He's really good, I think.
Yeah. I think I would have gotten used to him if he had continued to be Superman, which I know he has on TV. But that's a pretty big one. I think, it's a lot of times it's sequels, though. Like the Spider-Man 2, which we referenced earlier, is one of my favorite all-time comic book movies, like period, probably more than most of the MCU. But then Spider-Man 3 comes along and you're like, oh no, it's still Sam Raimi too. It's they didn't have like a casting change. There's not a new director.
Right.
There's no excuse.
We've had, you got to go way back to the Spider-Man 3 era, but like their effects supervisor, Scott Stockdyke, was on the show, and I think we're excited to go see Doctor Strange 2 and get our classic Raimi back. But the couple things were a perfect storm for that Spider-Man 3. The main one being that writer's strike. The writer's strike of 97 or 07 kept them from being able to rewrite anything on that script, and the script was not there.
Not totally.
And I think, and there's no one you can quote on this, but this is what I've heard from places. They asked for another year, and Sony's like, absolutely not. Like, people want a Spider-Man movie, and that movie opened bigger than either of the prior two. So Sony's bean counters were right, in the same way that they were with X-Men United. X3 opened bigger than either X-Men movie to date, and it's not until that next movie comes out that you see the damage that you did. When Amazing Spider-Man 1 doesn't make as much, or when X-Men New Class, or First Class doesn't make as much. Like that's the danger of forcing those third movies through, and you're not right. But you know what? They made a ton of money on Spidey 3 and X-Men 3, so it stinks.
It's the same year. It's the exact same problem, not exactly genre, but the James Bond Quantum of Solace. They couldn't rewrite it, and boy, they needed to. You know? So it's it tells you a lot about how much writing goes on after they start filming. So
I think they had Michael Chabon doing a rewrite on that second Spider-Man movie in I want to say Michael August or somebody, one of those great writers did a rewrite on it, but John August, but they didn't have that available to them on the third one. Katie, do you have I'm so hyped for this, Peter Jackson's Hobbit, maybe?
I did really enjoy that movie for its own reasons, just the first one. But apart from that, no, I would say that the one that I relate the most on would have to be Harry Potter 4, Goblet of Fire. It wasn't 3 was my favorite book and favorite movie, and not to continue talking about turfs or anything like that, but I loved how that was done. The movie was fantastic, but then we go into 4, and I was already it was one of the bigger books. I was very excited about it. I was ready to roll, and I just the style of everything was off in my mind. I hated their hair. I don't know why this is such a big sticking point for me, but I hated their hair so obviously hair is supposed to be messy headed or whatever, but everybody just started to have the wingtips or something. I don't know what was happening. It was we're going back to the 60s shag, and I was what are you doing? Why?
That was the style.
It was a choice. It was definitely a choice, and then everything just felt sticky.
Matt Kelly's with you. He says, honestly, the Potter films really went to shit until part 7.
I have to say 3's the best
4, one. After 3, 4, 5, 6 are the ones that are bad. Is that what Matt's proposing? I think
I'm guessing that's what he's saying. But I can't speak for him. I can only speak for myself. I would say 4, 5, parts of, I feel like 4 and 5 were like, and then 6 was pretty damn good, and then 7 part 1 and part 1 I was like, the camping scene, I can't believe they put. Listen,
no, I think I watched 1, but I was in college and I was like, it's not for me. And then I watched 4 with a friend because he was super hyped for it and didn't want to go to the movies by himself. And I was like, I'm out.
Book series that got me into reading. Like this was the thing that finally cracked open.
Neil Gaiman's Book of Magic?
Yeah, I mean that I did actually read that later, and I was like, "Oh, this is really great."
Coy. Oh, this is great. It's like Harry Potter. Jim's back. Jim Pellegrini's just taking shots now, and I think he's taking the crown because Jim saw something and none of us saw, and we should have just said it outright because this wins the cake every single time. My most painful overhype is definitely Phantom Menace. 16 years of build up. ... Fuckers.
Right.
It's such a divisive topic, obviously, Star Wars in general. And I don't even know if I want to say which movie, but there's one that was recent. And I turned to my wife afterwards and I'm like, I didn't love that. And I didn't think that was how I would ever feel about a Star Wars movie. It wasn't
even Solo.
No, it was
Last Jedi. Was it Last Jedi?
It was
before.
I was gonna. That was the original thing, and then I was like, I don't want to crack open this rotten egg.
And I just don't want to go into a whole Last Jedi thing because of how old the movie is. But the prequels, I was like, okay. I don't know. I was just like, all right, let's see how they play out. Whatever.
I was a kid at the time. Like that was like
no excuse. Kids were into like Indiana Jones and Goonies.
I had a good friend that said, "Hey, I was also into those too." But I had a good friend that later on in life, in like mid-20s, she was like, "I've never seen any of them," and I was like, "Oh, let's just start at the beginning and get the whole story." And then I was like, "Oh God, this is this is so bad." Mm-hmm. Oh, and I know some of the people that worked on the movie, and they're fantastic people, and they've gone through hell and back, but at the same time, like looking back, I was like, oh, that was meant for me as a kid. Yeah. But also with a lot of boring political stuff. But
I'm sorry, Katie, my mind is spinning. You said you started at the beginning and implied that you started with the Phantom Menace.
No.
Okay. I was like, we didn't start with A New Hope.
But I was like, oh, we should start because she had seen the originals. She hadn't seen any of the newer ones.
Okay, now I get it.
We should start at the beginning.
I can breathe.
And then I was like, yes, no,
because that's my thing. When I feel my kids are old enough, it's like you got to start with 4 because you might lose them if you start with Phantom Menace. Is my
I think I'm gonna one day show the kids 4, 5, 6. I'll show them Rogue One, but turn it off before it turns into Force Unleashed, and because it just makes no sense. Yeah, but that ending with Darth Vader doing Force Unleashed down the hallway, I'm like,
right? Yeah.
Oh. It just doesn't make sense that Princess Leia's like, we're on a diplomatic mission. I was like, you were just escaping a war zone. Like, everybody saw you, dude. Like, what are you talking about? And then I think it's like, okay, from there, you're gonna watch 2 seasons of Mando, and you're gonna get into that, and those are your films. That's what you get.
That's all you need.
That's what you get. Other stuff doesn't exist.
The personal thing with me in Rogue One is that I knew nothing going into that movie. It was one of my favorite. I watched it on Christmas Day. It was my first and only Christmas that I ever spent totally by myself, and I never watched a single trailer. It was so much fun.
I did that with Phantom Menace.
Shaving.
If a trailer was about to start for Phantom Menace, I would walk out of the theater.
Oh.
And so I never saw anything. But then the movie, I was like, I didn't hate it the way a lot of people did, but I was just like, well, that wasn't really worth it. I'm going to see all the trailers from now on.
You may not remember this, but I didn't even know the Water Boy had Phantom Menace like attached to it, the trailer attached to it. And that is how, like, I love Adam Sandler, like his movies that we loved on VHS in college were the thing. But like by the time I got to, I think it was sophomore year, the Phantom Menace, we were like, oh my God. And you're watching like the download speed on the trailer and you're like, there's a thing coming over the hill. This is amazing. But you want to see it on the big screen. And the only way that you're going to do that was, it was very crafty Fox. They attached it to the Water Boy. And so I went to see the Water Boy. Not a bad movie, but
they then attached the next one, I think, for Phantom Menace to Meet Joe Black, the Brad Pitt masterpiece.
Really?
And there were a lot of reports that people would buy tickets to Meet Joe Black and then not stay for the movie.
Yeah, you know what?
So funny.
It was cool. I mean, I was so hyped watching it on the big screen, and then I went and saw it. I had the tickets.
So with YouTube now.
You're camping out. You have your friends, and you're making like a chart, right? Remember when you make a chart with your friends, and you're like, you got to be there Tuesday when the box office opens. You got to be the first one in line, and then I'll come and spell you Tuesday night, and I'll camp until 6 a.m. and then so and so is going to come and spell me, and you make a chart. Like it was like you get like 5 of your friends, and you swap out to make sure you don't lose your place in line for when the box office opens up. And then you got to go back with your ticket for when they're going to open up the theater. And I just remember that's where I read the rest of Preacher. It was just sitting there like in line. Nice. And I come in, the lights come down, the lightsabers go up, the theater's freaking out. And about 10 minutes into that movie, I was like, am I seeing, is this the right movie? Like, this is insane. I don't think this is good. And then it ends, and I convinced my dad a week later to go see it with me again. And it's just the only prequel. It's the only prequel I've seen twice because I was like, maybe it was good, and I went back. I was like, no, it's not.
It's the last Star Wars movie that I saw in the theater more than once. Actually, was Phantom Menace, because
you didn't see. Wait,
I didn't see any of the other ones more than once.
No, same.
Yeah.
Same. Even Rogue One, which I did enjoy. I love Rogue
One.
I
enjoyed it. Yeah,
that was really great.
And honestly, there's flaws for Solo, but what I'll tell you about Solo, it was fun. I was able to have fun with it. And
I mean,
and he's great.
That, is the first
I did really like
him. Yeah, when we don't see any lightsabers or anything Jedi associated, like I thought it was really well done. Like
he's great.
It's a fun movie.
But but the ending is where it really starts to fall apart because he's continuously duped by someone, and I don't want to be like, this is going to be tough. He doesn't make a sacrifice in the film to save Chewie, and I've said on the show before, she has to be the sacrifice that he makes to save Chewie, and that's where you know what I mean. Like she's deceived him. She's technically the bad guy in the film, in that she's double crossed him, and he needs to do something to save Chewie by the end of the movie to like establish that friendship and to earn the life debt truly and to do that thing. And that should have been the moment at the end of the movie. And it should have cost him this woman that started him on his quest at the beginning. I think it would have given some symmetry to the film and it would have gone full circle and been beautiful. I don't know if you do that in a movie for kids, though. It'd be like a lady's got to take the hit. She would have had to turn pretty evil. Like she'd have to go full Sith or something for that to happen. But yeah. All right. Well, Geekscape, email me, Jonathan@geekscape.net, and I'll bring it up on the next show. Like, what was the movie you were hyped for that had your geek heart pumping, and then you felt the blood drain from your face when you started watching it? What do I got here? We got
Mario Brothers.
A couple things coming up. You know what? It got me super pumped, and I don't think it's going to be a disappointment because my buddy Craig Derrick is one of the main people on it, and they got some of the original team back. Craig Derrick has not been on the show. We've talked about him coming on the show. I first met Craig at the 2009 San Diego Comic-Con because I was the only person from the Geekscape group to go and hang out at the Monkey Island meetup to celebrate the Monkey Island fans and the remake of Monkey Island 1 and 2. So I went by myself. And I don't even think I told any of the Geekscape. It was like, hey, man, I'm going to go get dinner by myself. But I literally went to the Monkey Island meetup at San Diego Comic-Con for the announced new special editions of the Monkey Island game coming to Xbox. And I met Craig Derrick, I think, because I was sitting by myself. And he came over and was like, so what's your story? And boy, what a mistake that was, because within 5 minutes, he had heard the whole plan that I've had since I was 16 for a Monkey Island movie. Who would play what you keep from both games, how you merge the first two games together, how you take this, you put that, and then this starts, and then so you open on, and this is what you close on, sets up for trilogy. Like, he was like, okay, this guy's thought about Monkey Island a lot. Woo. And since then, we've been friends. He should come on the show because LucasArts just announced, and my heart exploded on Monday. They announced a brand new Monkey Island game, Return to Monkey Island. And it takes place after Monkey Island 2. So this is kind of doing the third Monkey Island thing. There's more games in the series, but Monkey Island 2 is really where those first two games are awesome. I think this game, if it keeps the quality, Jonathan's heart's going to explode. It's got the original cast. It's got the people who did the special editions. It's got the original writers. It's got a ton of the original team. That's basically all I have to say about that, but I'm pretty stoked.
I know nothing about this series, and you are so beyond excited that it's just fun to watch you get so excited about Monkey Island stuff. I totally get it.
Well, Katie,
it's like when somebody's a fan of a band you've never heard of. You're like, I'm so excited for you.
I'm happy for you.
Don't know
wait, Christian.
I don't know Monkey Island.
You play video games. You have video game systems.
I don't have current video game systems.
No. They've got them on the iPad. These special editions you can get on the iPad. You can get on the computadora. You can get them on your iPhone. You can get them whatever you need. That's what I'm going to get for Katie. I'm going to probably buy her a 2-pack to go get her playing. Katie, you're on like Steam.
I'm literally on every platform. That
Katie, these special editions. Okay, you may not think.
Oh my gosh!
But
this is the Monkey Island podcast show.
I'm afraid. Like,
you wouldn't be watching the show without you?
Do I ask about Monkey Island because how long does the answer take? But
you don't want to go to. It's that thread. You don't want to pull just yet.
I'll do my own independent study. I'll research it. I'll
do your independent study, Geekscapists.
I do get that pure joy and that addiction of just I just need more. That's how I felt with Portal, and that's also how I felt with Kingdom Hearts, which, bringing it back around, Kingdom Hearts just released a trailer today for Kingdom Hearts 4, which I don't know how to feel about, because one, the graphics look amazing, but I'm sure it's just not even in-engine footage. But also, Kingdom Hearts 3 was so bad.
Katie, I got to tell you is Return to Monkey Island comes out this year, and you're not seeing your Kingdom Hearts game.
We're not seeing Breath of the Wild 2 either.
You're not seeing no Kingdom Hearts game for another 5 years.
Oh, at least 20.
Breath of the Wild at least will get it in 2023.
Kingdom Hearts 3 was a 13-year wait.
Yeah. No.
Great.
No.
Monkey Island.
This is Jim Paganelli being like, my dialogue is psst, psst, hey kids, this Monkey Island. It's one of my favorite franchises. Katie, while you wait for Kingdom Hearts 4 and whatever weird semi sequel they're gonna add up to it, that's like .x9. I'm gonna find you. You name the system. You name your system, and I will find you on the store the Monkey Island Special Editions 1 and 2, and they're adventure games. They're the point and click adventure games where you have to attach the pulley to the chicken to the thing to that to unlock the thing, and they're fun. They're a little mind bendy, but feel free to do have a walk.
If they have it for ColecoVision, I'm in.
Hey,
don't you mess with me, Christian. You're going to be banished for another, how many episodes? 73?
746, I think.
Yeah, not even counting the specials, Christian.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't count the specials.
If you count the specials,
it's like 800 episodes.
I'm like, when Christian showed up with the Geekscape Book Club, which you should all subscribe to, I was like, how the fuck did that guy get out of the negative zone? Last time I saw Christian, he was spinning on a plane of glass into the space. He was like, damn you, London. I was like, that's what you get for being a better host, motherfucker.
Oh no.
Well, I look forward to all these games. Really just Monkey Island 2. Monkey Island 3.5, whatever it is, Return to Monkey Island.
To Monkey Island.
Return to Monkey Island. So Katie, are you having Moon Knight problems? What's going on with you in Moon Knight?
I'm not having problems. No, I'm loving the new show. I feel like it's another version of Severance, but I don't know the backstory. And I love. Okay, so I did find out he's got all these different personalities, but I can't tell. Is it his own mental thing? Is it because he's also got a pharaoh possessing him? There's so much going on here that I don't quite understand just yet, but I'm excited. It's been fun. It's been a fun ride.
What would you say, Christian? Because I think that the way that they've introduced Mark Spector, who is the main Moon Knight alter ego, was actually really creative in doing it with one of his personalities. I think that was really smart. And it, to a degree, so far, Steve and his personality has been the focal point of the first 2 episodes, but it looks like things are going to shift to Mark kind of in the third, but we'll still see Steven. I mean, he always has a multiple personality disorder going on, but what would you say to Katie, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, I found it actually an interesting way to start with Steven because, the Moon Knight that I'm familiar with, he was predominantly Mark Spector. And a lot of the time that I remember him, he was a member of the West Coast Avengers because his book got canceled. So a lot of this stuff goes by the wayside when you're in a team book. It's like, we got room for one of your personalities, kid. Pick one. But I think that they did it really interesting, and I think Oscar Isaac is great really in everything. I mean, he's one of those guys that manages to be good in a movie that's not very good, and it was a tragedy.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, it was a tragedy the way that they used him in X-Men Apocalypse, because the fact that he was playing Apocalypse, I'm like, this should be great, and it was not. So, but I think that it's great because he, and we've only seen 2 personalities.
Right. Well, and I guess that was
too much away, but
I
don't quite know. When you adapt something, you're like, well, I don't know what they're going to keep. I don't know what they're going to throw out. Maybe this is it. Maybe it's just these 2. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, when they did the big screen adaptation of Legion, the personalities were definitely different than I was expecting from the comics. So, I think that they made it in a way where they weren't afraid for you to be confused at the end of the first episode. And it's a bit of a gamble for a show that's every week. When it's a binge show, it's like, yeah, you can be confused for the first 6 because you'll stay up and watch them that first night.
And don't you feel like WandaVision kind of paved the way for like, things are going to get weird, but just stick with us. You're going to find out what's happening next.
Yeah, because it wasn't really episode 4 of WandaVision where finally you got to, see the outside world, and you started, and yeah, I think that these Disney Plus shows, they're just like, it's got the little Marvel intro, so we figure you'll be back next week. And
they'll hang with us.
Yeah.
Let's make Halo.
And they're right. They're very right.
Yeah. So I think that even with some expectation of where I was going, like at the end of the first episode, it was like, I'm glad they showed us him in the suit, because I think if it ended and we didn't even get a glimpse of it, I would have felt like, all right, that's a little bit of a letdown. But it's like, it's great. It was like just for a second, and I think probably when the show is able to be binged at the end of it, it's probably like it'll flow very quickly. But I like the fact that we're talking about a show for a whole week. And I think it's smart that they do these with these shows, not just to keep you, subscribed for at least 6 weeks. And I think that just not knowing really what's going on with Khonshu, and not that good of a guy, but and I mean, I just like Ethan Hawke in general, and every time that he comes up,
I didn't even know he was in this, and he showed up. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, what's happening here?
There's a very underappreciated Hamlet that he did in like 2000. I think it's him and Julia Stiles and Bill Murray's Polonius. And it's like probably one of my favorite like Shakespearean adaptations. Don't get me started on that Romeo and Juliet. I really liked that. And I always liked him in the Before Sunrise movies, and just everything. So like to see him as a totally different guy, I'm like, yeah, all right. And anytime somebody plays that like calm, like I'm just somewhat misunderstood, and now you're dead. Great. Let's get more of that,
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
It's good. I had shared on this very show some of the worries that I had about a character that, like Christian said, has not had a definitive run that was like, oh, that's the story they got to tell, or that's the angle they got to take with it. So many of these Marvel characters do have that clear story. I love what I'm seeing with the Moon Knight. I think I love how they're telling it. I think it's my favorite so far Marvel show on Disney Plus, and one of the things that I'm really looking forward to, and I like that it's 6 episodes and we're going to get it. I'm looking forward to the fact that he's not going to stay by himself. I mean, this is a character that is a character that's, like you said, Christian, is sometimes on teams, and that team is like, this guy's nuts. He's like listening to a moon god half the time and talking to himself. How can we trust this guy? Oh, he's an incredible elite fighter. He's great to have on a team when he has his brain together, which is almost rarely. I love having him on a team. He's like they said in the first episode, he has chaos within him, and then putting him on a team like we've talked about, potentially a Dark Avengers team, Thunderbolts and that kind of stuff. Like he fits on that. If a lot of the Thunderbolts that we end up seeing in a Thunderbolt series come from Disney Plus with like the John Walker character, and we did have the second Black Widow in Hawkeye. If we start seeing those characters kind of become a Dark Avengers Thunderbolts team, Moon Knight definitely belongs on it, even though traditionally he's never been on the Thunderbolts. He was on West Coast Avengers. It's pretty fun to watch this every week, and again, like we are talking about it. It is a different style of Marvel show, and the two actors in this are at the top of their game.
They're really incredible, and I have to know, are the split personalities from Khonshu, or did he have that before?
I think it's a good question, and we're going to see.
Did Khonshu break them?
Yeah,
did Khonshu break Mark Spector?
Yeah, or was it for this version of the character? They can do whatever they want with it.
Oh, okay.
But,
so that's
I think they said it in the second episode that it worked for Khonshu because he was already kind of split. I mean, I thought I took that away from it, and
because he was
Jonathan and I were sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he says because you're already broken, which might have also meant you were already violently, like, immoral, because Mark, quote, may have killed some people in Egypt, and we're getting back to Egypt now in the series. But like that could have been the nature of his fracture, was that morally he was kind of not very nice. So it was easy for Khonshu to corrupt him because he was already corrupted, and then the personalities spill out. Who knows? It's just fun. We've got this Jim Paganelli. He just won't relent. But what's great about Jim is he knows his geek stuff, and he knows me very well, and so he knows how to throw me a segue, as he does when he says Moon Knight is dealing with segmented, divided consciousness in a way very similar to another great show, Severance, on HBO Max, which Katie loves.
I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed. It's a really well-told story. It almost feels like, did you ever have to sit through like Brecht or like some kind of like show where it's like Waiting for Godot or something, where it's like you're telling a story but you're not telling the pieces that are like the linking of a story? It feels like the great version of like that kind of a show where you're not given all the information for several reasons, and like as you slowly, and I love how simply the show does this, like just tiny little things like an image or something, they just slowly reveal what's going on behind the curtain. It's so well done. I've never seen a show so well written, and this guy, his only credit was this show. I think I looked him up on IMDb, the writer of the show.
Ben Stiller's directing it. Do I have that right?
Ben Stiller's directing it. Yeah.
Okay. He's done some stuff.
He's done a few things, and I really like this like generation of Ben Stiller because he's bringing us some really cool products right now, and directing some really great things. And I love that he's
Adam Scott's in it.
Yes, and
I love watching him.
Never seen an Adam Scott like film or a piece like this, and he's doing so well, and he's so fascinating. And I've never seen like an acting level on this level from Adam Scott. I think this is perfect in the kind of genre he should be in from now on. Plan his career.
Jim says Geekscape is that Severance is Dollhouse, Stepford Wives, Eternal Sunshine, Portal.
We were talking about Portal.
Wendy. Great.
Yeah, no, it's so basically the premise of this is that, the whole like work-life separation, they want to keep it that way. So they do this little implant in your brain, and when you're down at work, you only know work and your personality in work. But when you leave work, your outside personality, you just do all the things that you do after work. So it's like you get that split. However, in doing so, you create a new person or a new personality that they call their innie, that only knows what's going on in work. And that's the only life they know. They don't know like alcohol. They don't know parties. They don't know, they don't even know where they're from or where they are. But it's sort of like they have a childlike understanding of the world. And in that way, they do this very odd work that you're not totally sure on. And it's It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating. And I have to recommend that if anybody does watch this, like go through the entire thing. You luckily get to binge it, and I'm very jealous of that.
Yeah.
But also download, there's a companion book on Apple Books that you can download. And it's a conversation between a woman who's severed. That's what they call them, severed, writing to an editor of a newspaper. And there's about how she had communication with her innie through this sort of like coded dialogue, and what happens with like the editor and this story and how this plays out. It's fascinating. You could look at every single frame of this show and find something new. Like they drop hints all the time. It's really, really well done.
I was already going to watch it. I just know that yesterday we're sitting here at this hibachi grill and Katie said, Jonathan, are you watching Severance? And I said, no. And she took me by the side of the face and she shoved my head onto the grill.
Yep.
And I held it there for a while. Like
held it there for a little
the makeup's
bit.
looking good.
The lady had to peel it off. She used a little scraper to peel it off. Yeah. So
but
she was
the remaining skin fragments, she did flip up in the air, and it was.
I mean,
this is what I heard. I wasn't.
It tasted like pork, like it was really tasty.
I had a volcano flame sticking out my ear. It was weird.
She just put like onion rings on the side of his head and then did the fire.
Geekscape is watching on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. You can tell I'm better looking now. But so thank you, Katie.
Let me have a very quick name droppy Benihana moment. My wife took me for my birthday once, and as we were pulling in, Kiefer Sutherland was outside on his phone, and so my wife was like, "And there's Jack Bauer." And then we went in, and it was the night of the Grammys, and the Grammys were early here, and Kanye was there with a bunch of people. So that was the most. I've not gone back to Benihana because I'm like, what? Tell me the trip to Benihana.
Tell me the next time I will.
Yeah, you don't know what you're missing. I mean, there might be. You might be a celebrity magnet. Like you might be the reason that they're there. As soon as Geekscape's over, I'm gonna call to Heidi and be like, "Yo, you hear this? He just saw that Kanye. He saw Jack Bauer. We got to go back to that Manhattan. And we done seeing these celebrities. This is why we moved to Hollywood."
I love that you turned full on hick right there.
I'm like a hick that moved to Hollywood. Oh my goodness.
Beverly Hillbillies.
I just want to meet Jim Varney. I got bad news for that guy. I got bad news for that character.
I just had a quick thought on Severance because I believe it's on Apple TV Plus, because my thinking on Severance is I can't wait to binge it just as soon as Ted Lasso comes back, because that's the only time I ever have Apple TV Plus is when Ted Lasso's on. So,
and I do,
but I
really get that.
You're really doing a good job and making me wish that I had already watched it. So
it's just
come over to our place.
Oh yeah,
Heidi wanted to
live
start
in the same town.
Severance.
I think.
Yeah. Heidi wanted to start Severance last night, and I said, no, you do not start the Severance. And she goes, but you're watching basketball. I said, yeah, but this is a show I want to watch with you. And she goes, it's not fair, Jonathan. I said, get yourself a basketball team. Get yourself something to watch when I'm watching basketball. Like, do anything, but like, do not use. There are shows we watch apart, Bridgerton, and there are shows that we watch together. And this is a show we watch together, and I ain't having it, Heidi. No.
I do get that. Like, if I fall asleep, I'm gonna have to. I have to do homework afterwards. But yeah, it's a good show, you guys.
You make sacrifices
so much about it,
but you love.
Give anything away. Second.
And Katie, I know. One of the sacrifices was going to the Ren Fair in 1,000-degree heat on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
It was like 100 degrees. We go to this Ren Fair, and she loves the Ren Fair. It usually opens sometimes around her. It opens around her birthday every year. The last 2 years, she's had these tickets from 2020. The little thing called a pandemic got in the way, so she's been holding on to these Ren Fair tickets, and they moved to 2021. Finally, in 2022, they were like, "We'll give you 2 extra Ren Fair tickets." So we go to the Ren Fair finally, and it just happens to be on the day that is 100 degrees. But she already invited all these friends to come because it was her birthday. So like, you can't be like, "Oh, just kidding, we're not going." When really, like, the thing to do would have been like, "Hey, can we go the next day when it's overcast and not 100 degrees?" It was too late. Everybody started showing up. So we go to this thing, and I just don't know if it's for me, man. I've been to the Ren Fair a few times already, and they don't change a whole lot. It's like the same performers and stuff. Everybody's in character. I don't want to be in character. I just want to have my turkey leg. I want to be grumpy. I want to maybe throw some axes or like shoot an arrow, and then maybe watch a joust and some funny comedy, and then just go home. I don't want somebody coming to my face and being like, "Hello, kind sir, may I riddle you?" And that's like, no, don't want to do that. There was a guy who like was hitting
Did you
on
have the
Heidi
Riddler there?
multiple times. I don't know. I was texting Katie like most of the time throughout the thing. It's like this dude's like shooting his shot with Heidi. He shows up in this freaking velvet suit and he's like, "Milady, oh, who are you with? This buffoon here." And I'm like, "Are you really serious doing this?" And
that's
he's
what they
doing
do.
his
Like you're legitimately employed to do this at the Ren Fair. There was one time I auditioned to do the Ren Fair and they were like, "Are you cool with like being overtly sexual?" And I was like, "Nope." And I left.
Yeah, this guy gives Heidi a coupon that was like, "You have a demerit for not being affectionate with your betrothed. You can cash it in by kissing another." And he was like just looking at her like, "Please pick me, please pick me." And Heidi didn't really know what it was, so she just like shoved it in her pocket. I was like, "Oh, thank you," and just like walked away. And the guy was like, "No." Jim Pellegrinelli says, "Ren fairs are awesome. One of the best summers of my life. I worked at one. Jim would be great at one."
Well,
and
that's a great trade. Oh, go ahead.
Matt says, "I don't want to be a character," says the man who's always in character. Katie? No, I'm never in character. This is who I get.
Observation
from Matt. I'm like Mark
Spector.
These aren't characters, Matt. These are pieces of a fractured mind that you're
This is my real British accent.
Which one is
latest
gators?
Well, speaking of bad British accents and what Jim said, I also worked at the Renaissance Festival, the one in New York.
Yes.
I did it for 3 summers. I was 16, 17, and 18, and it's the best summer job you could ever have. Yeah. Because I worked at a tavern, and yes, I was 16, and I was just slugging, kegs of beer around. We had, and just running around, getting, big, huge bags of ice, running them all around. And it was like 10 minutes from my house, the one in New York. And it was like all these, I have to be very specific for my motivation.
Yeah.
All these other girls worked there from other high schools who, let's just say, they didn't know how cool I was. They were meeting me for the first time. So I got to position myself maybe as, as slightly improved. I got to stop being Steven and I got to present myself as Mark Spector, basically. And
but you're still wearing a leotard.
You know what? You were encouraged, and I wore like these like short pants or whatever. They were, it was not a leotard, but you were encouraged to be rude to the customers. And I had a semi-decent British accent back then, and I'm just like, this is great. I wish it was more than 2 days a week, but I loved that job. Going to the Renaissance Festival in the years since, I'm like, oh, this isn't as fun. Nobody's paying me.
Yeah, no one's paying me to dress up right now.
Yeah.
Is it true, Christian, that they're all swinging afterwards? Like when they close up shop, like they're like, "Hey, we're already sweaty. Let's get it."
Yeah. Well, you have, I can just speak for that one, but the people who would, some people who just attend, but also the people who work a lot of the booths, they would go from the way that the calendar was, like the one in, I think Maryland was right before that. And then there was another one after ours, so it was like following the Grateful Dead or Fish. And they would go from Ren Fair to Ren Fair and just work throughout like the spring and summer. And there was a campground in the back. And it did get a little wild.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, it
you don't want to step there.
It was a little bit more Lord of the Flies than Yellow Jackets, let's just say.
Oh.
Well, Jim Pellegrinelli says, "Christian, we should talk," because he's got his story was working at the Ren Fair. And you know what? Like, I'll do anything for Heidi. We had a great weekend. It was a lot of fun. We had dinner with Chris White, who's previously on the show, talk about Electric Jesus, his film that you should be watching. We had a great weekend, and the Ren Fair was just hot. I will go back, sweetie. If you're listening to this, I will go back. If she's not listening, I ain't going back. And it'll be fun. I'm glad we had a good weekend, and Katie got to put my face on a Hibachi grill.
Yep. For all the fans out there, I do my part. Yeah.
Okay. This is what you got to do. Because we got to finish the show. I mean, listen, we can't just make up all the missed episodes of Christian now. That's years of content. But he's part of the network now.
It's true.
Christian is here to stay. He's got a Geekscape Book Club here on the network. You can also catch Christian in a few other places. What would those be, Christian? Other shows that you do?
The one-stop shop for pretty much everything is my YouTube channel, Bladtcast, BLADTCAST, and you'll find my show, Marvel Movie Talk. We did our Morbius special today, with my friend Zia Anderson, who people know from the Chip Chipperson podcast and a bunch of other places. She and I used to do a lot of shows at AfterBuzz, and also the titular Blattcast. And sometimes I'm feeling adventurous, and about twice a month we do a political show called Biden Time, because I can't spend more than 2 days a month on politics. It's too hard.
You're
these
fighting
days.
back against the darkness, Christian. You're doing your part to fight against the darkness.
I try. And the titular Blattcast, we're no Geekscape, but we're getting close to 500 episodes. We're at episode 488, so we're getting close.
Oh,
Matt, acquire them.
Like 700 episodes in the future, then invite London back.
Yes, yeah, by the time you return, you'll have reached the number we're on now at Geekscape.
Yeah, I'll have eclipsed it. Yeah,
there's no way, Christian. The fault is all mine that you haven't been back. It's just I try.
Hey, at any point that I was in the chat in one of these shows, I could have messaged you afterwards, like, I know.
I'm available.
You want to have me on, so that's fine.
No, the truth is, Geekscape is. Like Christian did get active in the chat when we started doing these over the StreamYard and the live shows over pandemic, and it was the way to like tell Jonathan, hey man, like I'm still very knowledgeable, I still exist, I'm still a better host than you. And I definitely Christian and I think went from the chat on a Geekscape to an email and me saying, hey, you're a total asset, like we got to figure out something for you to do for the Geekscape network, because I know you're an asset. I love having you on the network, and I love having everybody on the network. I love having Katie on the network, everybody. Wizard of Video Games is coming in under the wire from Twitch to say next episode request, table read of Jonathan's Monkey Island script. No, I'm sorry,
he's got one.
And half of it was already cannibalized into the Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean movies, so don't even start. I have to rewrite now. I have to see what's in Return of the Monkey Island, so that in Return to Monkey Island, so that I can rewrite it. So no. It's a science.
Was by any chance, did you just get the script for Cutthroat Island and do find and replace and change all the words to monkey instead of cutthroat?
Yeah.
The rumor I've heard is that some of the writers from a certain Pirates of the Caribbean franchise in the late 90s, and the story's online if you Google it, they were hired by Spielberg and they were brought in to do like the last iteration of a script for the Monkey Island movie that Spielberg was going to spearhead as, I think, an animated film. And when that film, it was a real thing. And when that film didn't go forward, they moved on, and coincidentally did end up writing a couple pirate-ish movies like Treasure Planet and the Pirates of the Caribbean films, even though in interviews they've claimed that they've never heard of Monkey Island. What are you talking about? Oh, I don't know. Those elements from those games just happen to turn up in some of the movies you wrote. I don't know.
NDA.
Well, I don't know what's going on there, but I know Jonathan wasn't too happy when he saw some of those set pieces in some of those movies, being like, "Hey, I've seen this before. Oh my goodness." It's all Disney now, baby. It's all Disney now, so it's all good. We're getting a new Monkey Island game, and you're gonna get a new episode next week. Katie, where can they find you?
You can find me on all of the socials at @LSassyPants, EL Sassy Pants, sometimes with a Z.
I'm sorry to keep you all long on these episodes, Geekscapists, but obviously we have our lot to talk about. We have a lot of stuff to cover them sufficiently. We're going to be talking about a ton more next week. So what you got to do is you got to hit the share button, send it to your friends, hit the subscribe button if you haven't so far, write a review if you haven't done that, and I don't know, just keep spreading the love. We have tons of shows on the Geekscape Network. I really appreciate you all checking out the flagship show that started everything and kind of nothing at the same time. Christian, Katie, thank you. This is Geekscape. Share it with your friends. Over and out.